What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Beer Chaser Podcast, number 5. I'm Preston, and I'm joined by some of the usual suspects you know and love. First off, we're going to start with the man, the myth, the legend himself, one Mr. Mike Peterson from At the Bar Podcast. Mike,
what's up?
How's it going?
I thought you were going to throw it to Bobby there for a second. I'm good. How are you?
Good, my friend. Second in line here, in order of cadence, we got one Mr. Brian Moore, the Burnt Brian Show. Brian, what is going on?
What's going on, man? Things are good. How's it going?
Good, man. And making his second return triumphantly, we have one Bobby Bowen from Bowigens Brewery. Bobby, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We got some good topics to go over today. But before we get into that, I'm feeling mighty thirsty, so let's go ahead and crack into something here. As always, I challenge the guys to come to the show with something maybe a little out of their comfort zone, something that they might not typically go for. Today, I've done so with Central 28's Trekker Bier. It's a Farmhouse Ale. It's a style I'm trying to explore a little bit as I'm looking to brew a saison or farmhouse beer here pretty soon. I've been inspired from my recent trip to St. Somewhere to give a crack at that. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot. I'm going to pour it. Mike, what do you got for us today?
I haven't had much of this brewery, but it's an Evil Twin. It's their Imperial Donut Break. It is 11.5% Imperial Porter with coffee, vanilla, almonds, and donuts added.
Donuts added. Interesting.
Donuts. So I haven't had a lot of Evil Twin, and I haven't had a lot of donuts. So I figured to, use this beer for this episode.
All right. Feel free to go for it. Brian, what you got?
It's not entirely out of my zone, though. I really haven't. While I do like porters and stouts, I haven't really explored too many different new things. So I saw this one, and the guy at my store suggested it. So I guess this is from Grimm Brewing. This is the Cassiopeia. It's an American porter brewed with candy sugar at a nice, was this 10%? So not bad.
Man, you guys aren't messing around. Bobby, what you got?
Well, this isn't a shameless plug. I was pulling twin duty today, so I didn't have much time to run out and grab something else. So I'm drinking one of ours again, but it's our Bourbon Barrel Imperial peanut butter stout. So,
nice, man.
8.5%.
Awesome, man. I'd love to actually give that one a shot. So I'm hoping next time I see you, maybe there's a bottle tucked away somewhere in the catacombs of Bowigens.
Yeah,
there's a hiding spot there.
I got some.
It's the catacombs.
Awesome. I pulled that one out of my ass. All right, I'm gonna give this farmhouse a shot. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's nice. It's I guess I'm finally understanding that not all farmhouses and saisons are funky barnyard beers. And that's exactly why I wanted to try this. This almost reminds me more of like a Hefeweizen. It's real light and crisp, but it has almost like a banana kind of clovey kind of Hefeweizenness to it. Again, Trekker Bier Farmhouse Ale, Central 28. I don't know if I've ever had any of their stuff, and I believe they're local, right? They're Florida.
Yep,
somewhere.
the Berry.
The Berry, okay. Yeah, I think we were going to try to check them out one time. They said open in time while we were in the area or something. We were trekking around at 3 in the afternoon looking for a brewery to be open on a Tuesday, and they didn't open until like 6 or something. All right. Mike, what do you think of what you had?
It was good. I don't get a whole lot of donut flavoring, but it's a nice, sweet porter. It's kind of more my style in terms of how it comes out. I'm a big fan of almonds in beer, and the vanilla is nice. I just don't really get a whole lot of like donut-esque flavoring.
It sounds like with donut added, maybe they literally racked it on top of some donuts or something. So I don't really know how much flavor infusion you're going to get by
yeah
on top of donuts.
Yeah, but it's pretty black though. But it's good. I mean, I like it a lot. It's just I don't get any kind of donut flavoring, I guess.
Yeah, and we're big on that. If you put it on the label, it better be in the mouth.
Indeed. Absolutely.
That's a quote for you. That's your next shirt.
Yeah.
How is it with extract wise? Is it extract? Does it taste a little? Is it natural? More natural? What you're getting, or
the vanilla might be a little bit extracty, but the almonds are nice. The malt's nice. Everything's nice. It definitely hides the 11.5% very well. So I would definitely give it a 4.25 out of 5.
Nice. Brian, how about yours?
This thing is delicious. I mean, it's a very well balanced porter. I mean, and it has such a nice sweetness to it with just all around very well balanced, nice light body, easy drinking, and like it's like Mike's beer. It really hides that 10% really well. It's so smooth and easy drinking. I could chug this thing. It's so good and easy.
Nice. Bob, how's that Bowigens beer? It's shit.
It's amazing. You guys should totally try it.
I'd love to. Love to
The best
someday.
beer I've ever had.
So I know we jumped right into getting some beers, but I would like to catch up with you guys. It's been a little while. Mike, what have you been up to since we last chatted? I think me and you have been together. We've obviously done Beer Chasers, but I mean, the podcast audience might not have seen you for the last 4 or 5 months. So
Yeah, so last time I saw Preston was in DeLand about a month ago.
Mhm.
It seems like about a month ago. But
Yeah.
in terms of the show is busier than ever. We have a lot of things coming up, both some I can announce and some I cannot announce. But lately with me, it's just been working. Got some job interviews that I've been going on. Just been investing as much free time as I can into the show and making the monies.
and your job venture, that's something in the beer industry still, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so
I'm still waiting to hear back on the result.
Awesome.
But,
Brian, what you been up to, man? How's your winter? How's it coming into spring here?
So far, this is turning into one of the best years that I've had in a while. With the new job, things are going really well. Finally got a new car, which is great. First new car I've ever had.
New car.
Yeah, well, it's 2 years old, but it's the newest I've ever had. So, but yeah, everything's going good. Haven't done anything with the YouTube channel in a while. Just honestly, been working 60 plus hours a week and just don't have the time. And you know what I do have, I just try to spend relaxing and trying new good beers.
Awesome. Bobby, what you been getting into?
A lot. We did our 3rd-year anniversary.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. So that took up a lot of time. So we've been doing that. I can't remember the last time we were talking with you guys, but I recently had twins. So
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
thank
Quite
you.
a handful.
That's taking up a lot of time as well. But I mean, just making beer, and we got some exciting stuff coming up. So I'm just staying busy.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that later as we kind of wrap things up. We'll talk about the future for Bowigens, but definitely congratulations on 3 years. It's a big milestone, and I know there's going to be many, many more. Definitely one of the better craft beer establishments in Orlando. Orlando is looking up finally, I think. Mike would probably agree. We're finally getting some great craft beers. It's always been a great community, but just some the commercial stuff just hasn't been there. But Bowigens definitely holding the torch there for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we can just go ahead and jump into some topics. So today we got some national news, we got some local news, we got some Tampa Bay Beer Week stuff I'm going to go over since that is my home base here, Tampa Bay area. And let's go ahead and get started with that. So if I can share my screen successfully here, we can do this. And I'm going to switch over to the news. So first things up, national news. Stone Brewing files lawsuit against Miller Coors over Keystone. So as you see here, in their recent branding efforts, Keystone has emphasized the stone in the Keystone, kind of separating out the key. So it looks like we got a can of Stone Light here, which, if you're coming into a store or a display, I imagine could be very confusing to customers, especially, you're looking at 30 or 40 cases stacked up like when you walk into a Winn-Dixie or something. Like, wow, Stone Light. But not really. But still, it is a trademark issue there. So I'm trying to scroll down here. He's pretty serious about filing federal state cases. Basically it's no accident. They've definitely in the past have tried to brand and copyright Stone and trademark Stone to no avail. So gentlemen, thoughts on this? I mean, this is obviously no accident, no coincidence that it looks like that.
I can't talk. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just to the point where is it gonna be too much to where everything is gonna be copyrighted to where you can't even name a beer without getting a copyright violation. So I get it, I understand it. I do it too if I was Stone, but hopefully it's not the tip of the iceberg into it growing into a bigger problem within the industry.
I mean, I think it's a separate issue. I mean, there's definitely a problem what Mike touched on, like naming beers is ridiculous now in itself, just to try to come up with something that hasn't been taken. But I think what Keystone did was just, I mean, how stupid do you have to be to go against one of the only breweries that can actually fight back about it?
That's true.
They named it, Bowigens Light. Well, shit, we'd have to change our name. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, don't give me any ideas. Poor Bobby, he's sunk enough money into this thing. Don't be getting any ideas. Brian, if you saw this in the store, what would be your thoughts? I mean, would you be confused as a craft beer enthusiast as thinking this was a true Stone product? Or
I wouldn't be confused just because I know Stone's beer and their branding and stuff. But and I'm kind of in the middle on this as well. I can I totally understand them wanting to sue, and I think it's legitimate. But at the same time, there is a lot more of this going on today where we're just picking words and saying, this is mine, this is ours. We're trademarking this name, or nobody else can copywriting it, nobody else can use it. And I don't want to see that become more and more of an issue. But again, in this situation, I think it is warranted.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll pretty much lead us right into our second there, if you guys can see now. So Bell's Brewery on the losing end of a trademark dispute. So they're the big guy kind of on the losing end. Now this one's a little more ridiculous. Essentially what this boils down to is one of Bell's trademark slogans is bottling innovation since 1985. Here we have Innovation Brewing, who has basically trademarked inspired brewing. And Bell's thought that was close enough to lend to suit. So bottling innovation versus inspired brewing. Now, I think this one's definitely much more of a stretch. I mean, that's definitely not even close. It's why bother? But I wonder if it harkens to. I know we've talked about this topic before. Is it just one of those things where you kind of have to aggressively go after your trademark just to show that you are aggressively going after it, so you have precedence in other cases to say we have aggressively fought this?
I mean, I think to a point it's that, but that's just, I mean, what Bell's is doing is just silly. There's not remotely alike. It's not, but it goes down to the point of, things are getting ridiculous now, or starting to, but it's for Bell's to go after that, it's silly, and they just made themselves look really bad.
Yeah, I think it's really, I mean, honestly, kind of petty. In no way are those two phrases to me at all very similar. And that's, now we're getting into that ridiculous part of trying to copyright phrases and names that we're talking about earlier. It just doesn't, to me, it's frivolous.
I agree with everybody on this one. I think that's getting to the point where it's like Mike said, it's getting a bit ridiculous with that. But the thing with Bell's, they didn't even have that whole thing trademarked. They've just been using that slogan. Right.
Yeah. They don't even own it. Yeah.
Oh, God. Come on. Like, we're supposed to be a good community, and there's stuff you see the bigger guys going after the smaller guys, but you start to see some of the craft brewers going against each other on, especially stuff like this. That's a little ridiculous. It's not like they named it, Two Hearted Brewery or something.
Yeah. So Bobby, I wanted to ask you, owning a brewery, and you have to go through this more than any of us. We don't have to worry about trademarks and copyrights on our personal property. Maybe Mike, you do for your podcast. I don't know if you've gotten to that point where you're trying to trademark your podcast or whatever. But Bobby, how walk the common folk through who aren't in the industry, kind of like what that process is and how much of a pain in the butt it can be, and like what does it really take to go out and trademark something like that?
I mean, it takes a lot. It takes so much that most of the small guys, their normal beers aren't going to be trademarked, especially some of the stuff they're coming out with. You have attorneys, you have to do research. You can even, there's little sites you can do it online, pay probably $400, but that doesn't really pay for going out and finding somebody who knows what they're doing, making sure that's not trademarked one. On top of that, you are responsible to police your own trademarks.
Yep.
So you're going to have to be diligent on scoping out new beers coming out, making sure nobody's copywriting or infringing on your trademark. And if they do, then you have to go to court or try to fight them. There's a lot of money and there's a lot of effort that goes into it, which a lot of the small guys, can't do or don't even have the manpower to handle.
Yeah, and you got some breweries, for example, like a Rap or something like that, who's got 40 beers on tap. They can't possibly, trademark. And I don't think Rap goes out and names all their beers. Usually, it's just Lichtenheiner or this or that. But
that's one way around it. They can name it the style of the beer, and then they can't, you can't be touched on that because it's Rap's Goza or what have you. So that's one way around it. But the part is to come up with a really clever name, and then 8 months later, it's happened to us. We've had a beer that's been out for a couple of years, and the other breweries start to use it. And it's, if it's not out distribution, it's not one of our core beers. It's, it's what it is. But I got better things to do than try to fight people on, specific names and stuff. Like when we name a beer, I try to do my research, do due diligence on it, and put something new out there. But it is becoming harder and harder. So it's not as fun as it used to be naming beers.
Yeah, I've done it just at the homebrew level, like on Untapped. I put most of my beers in there and share them with friends and stuff. And I at least try to go to Untapped and Google, at least to do my best. If I don't see it on Untapped and I'll see it on Google, I'll put it in there, and at least I'll have some sort of precedence. I'm hoping that I can, if things ever happen, we'll battle it out or whatever. What's more interesting to me too, it kind of related is some of the home brewers or brewers might know this, but regular folk is California Common. That whole California Common thing where Anchor has trademarked the term steam beer, because of the process and the way they make it, to the fact where nobody else can brew steam type beer. They've trademarked that technique essentially, and everybody else now calls it the California Common if you want to brew it. So it's always strange to me too.
It's also, go ahead.
All you.
Okay. It's also worth noting that there's been a big trend, and I noticed a buddy of mine on Twitter who's a head brewer down in West Palm of craft breweries blatantly ripping off like the Lucky Charms cereal box. And there's a leprechaun. It looks the exact same thing, but instead of saying Lucky Charms, it says Hazy Double IPA New England Haze Bro or whatever the beer is, or blatant ripoffs of like cereal boxes or Boar's Head or anything like that. So, craft breweries can't play victim all the time. They're the ones, the whole dilly dilly thing. They got sued by Anheuser-Busch, so they're not the victim all the time.
Right.
It can go both ways. There's some people that just don't pay attention to it or don't care. I've seen breweries that come out, like you said, with things that look exactly like a bigger product that you see out there. They just make that the label.
Yep.
Attitude is like, well, maybe they'll sue us, maybe they won't catch it. Whatever.
Well, something like a juicy fruit, right? Just spelling fruit with like 3 O's, fruits, whatever makes it, okay. So
Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept, just like that. And I get it for marketing and branding, like some of that can be really important, and you should be able to control it, but it's getting to the point of being ridiculous where you're trying to fight against innovation, versus the other word. It's like it's just that's too critical. Yeah. At some point, you're not gonna be able to call it beer anymore. Beer, 6 E's. All right, let's go ahead and jump. We've got a couple more stories here. Jump on over. All right, Green Flash Brewing has pulled distribution from 32 states and eliminating 15% of their workforce. So, Green Flash, I know best for what's that beer? I can't remember it. Pallet Wrecker was the big one that I knew them for. And I think they had a West Coast IPA and a couple other ones. San Diego headquarter craft brewery initially had 50-state footprint with aspirations of being a heritage brand. But as thousands of startup breweries, thanks Bobby, open their doors, chipped into Green Flash sales, the company was forced to alter its strategy. Essentially, they're now down to Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Nebraska, Nevada, Texas, and Utah. While Virginia Beach Brewery will handle Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia. No Florida. Florida's gone.
Yep.
It's really interesting, right? And I think that this harkens back to is the bubble bursting? And I still say I don't think it is. And I think this is just one of those cases of they were there at the right place, the right time, got that market share with beer that wasn't necessarily your 4 out of 5s or 5 out of 5s. And as the market is maturing and taste buds are maturing, the choices are going to the beers that are much more well crafted. And I think local and micro is still king and winning.
Yeah, agreed. That's a prime example of, I think the bubble is bursting. It's just in a different way than what I originally thought. Green Flash, to my knowledge and what I've seen in the market, didn't support their brand in Orlando, and that's key. I mean, this market's so saturated, you guys support your brand through tastings, festivals, what have you, and they just never did that. And it's a shame because I'm seeing the market go super hyper local to where Green Flash, Sierra Nevadas, all these beers that are naturally available are kind of sitting on the shelf to where people are focusing on super local Orlando, South Florida, Tampa, more so than the craft national brands. So I think that's how the bubble's bursting in that aspect of everything's turning super hyper local. It's just a shame. It's a shame that that's how that happened, but it's just an example of the tides turning. Big breweries like Green Flash and all those bigger breweries are slow to innovate and slow to adapt, and that hurts. That's going to hurt them. So it was one of those breweries that didn't really support the brand. They kind of just fell on the wayside, in terms of drinkers' attention.
Mm-hmm. Brian, you're familiar with the brand. What do you think of Green Flash, and does that upset you that we can't find that in Florida anymore?
It kind of upsets me a little bit because I did like a few of them. Palate Wrecker was always one that I looked out for every year. I love that beer. Like in comparison to Bell's, Hop Slam, which to me has changed over the years to where it's got so much honey in it that you're not really slammed by the hops much anymore. But to me, like Palate Wrecker and even their West Coast IPA was really good. They had a lot of really good session IPAs as well that they put out that were sort of citrus touched. But I'll definitely miss them. But again, I do totally agree with Mike and understand that aspect of the bubbles, bursting is kind of becoming a reality, that there is more of a focus on local, and there are a lot of other breweries that are having a hard time competing, and they definitely didn't come up with anything too innovative. When I go through my craft beer stores now, I see really incredible labels and artwork and a lot of marketing put in that really stands out, that makes people want to try new and different beers from breweries. And theirs were always kind of basic, plain, simple, plain Jane stuff, which is good as long as the product is good. But it just kind of it's hard to compete, I guess, and I understand why they had to pull back, but I will miss them.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yes.
When they're still around, I guess you can put some beer trades out for, maybe trade some High Life, or then again, Cigar City's now blowing up, so you can't even trade some High Life, maybe some Flash or something for some Green Flash. Bob, what are your thoughts on Green Flash in this news?
Well, I mean, you're going to start seeing it. They're not the only brewery that's starting to pull back. There's a lot of breweries that were started maybe 10, 15 years ago. I think Green Flash is around 15 years old now. It started growing, and the craft beer, scene started building, and it kind of pushed out there. But now, like you said, there's so many breweries coming up, and it's going more towards what Mike was talking about, the hyper-local breweries, where if you don't have that presence in that specific region, or maybe that beer just doesn't sit right in that area, whatever it is, you're going to start pulling back because everything's more about locals. So you're going to start seeing breweries, like larger breweries like that, start to pull back their distribution just towards and focus on their local markets, their surrounding states, but they can put a lot more money maybe into their tap room, into multiple tap rooms around their specific area, because that's where a lot of the money's going and they're seeing it. So, I mean, I think for them, it still looks like they're in good shape. It's a business decision. They're cutting off where they weren't, their beer's not moving. Like I said, it is unfortunate. There's some good beers they put out that we'll have to, try to find a little bit harder now. But I think for them, their company still looks like it's in good shape. There's some that aren't, that I think we're probably about to talk about, but it's a fact of, marketing to what region and not overextending yourself.
Yep.
Right. And what I'll do now is I'll segue into the next bit of news, which is very, very similar. I hate the way you got to share your screen on this thing. All right.
You just see everybody.
Smuttynose Brewing. What's that?
You just see everybody when you share a screen.
Yeah. You threw me off my game.
I know.
Blew my mind. What is he talking about? Smuttynose Brewing Company sold at auction for $8 million. So another kind of large brewery, right? That was in the game really early on. I think in the same boat there. Sold for $8.25 million. So I know I've seen them in the stores. I know if they quite a bit of shelf space. They had a lot of different brands out there. $8 million though seems pretty low.
Cool. Yeah.
So again, we see 20 years of consistent growth. They're looking for major capital infusion to kind of keep the thing going, and it's a shame. Another one bites the dust, but maybe too early, too fast, too soon for them.
I think this is just an example of some of the stuff we're seeing. It was such a sparse area, like you said, 15, 20 years ago. These breweries were hitting and they're growing, and they planned that. I think if you read about Smuttynose plan for the next 20 years, they had lots of growth scheduled in, and you get all these breweries racing, trying to be the first one and build. But sometimes you overshoot that, and you don't, before you have to, when you see the Green Flash is kind of a little bit before that when they're pulling back out of the States, maybe Smuttynose overextended a little bit too much and got themselves in some trouble.
Yeah, it should come to shock to anybody else. Again, I know I've seen them in the shelves, and I know early in my craft beer days I purchased some, but definitely not a purchase I'd made probably in the last 2 years that I personally have purchased a Smuttynose. Maybe it might have been at work and someone in a mixed pack. It was part of the ice bucket or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I gotta watch what I say. I think the owner sold Smuttynose just to get out of brewing, not to. He just wanted out. He just wanted completely out of the market, not deal with it, and sold it to, I set a price the quickest it can sell. But Smuttynose was never exciting to me. The labels were very bland. Everything was bland, and I couldn't even tell you the last. I don't even think I've ever had a Smuttynose.
not even once.
Not even unless it was free, and it was like 6+ years ago.
Yeah, they're the ones that had all the dogs and stuff, right? If I recall correctly.
I had no idea.
No idea.
Well,
I'm pretty
sure. Close. Brian, what's been your experience with Smuttynose? And again, I know they've got quite the plethora. I've seen it on the shelves, different brands or different types and styles.
It's like everyone else here. I think I may have had one or possibly two along like several years ago when I would do mixed 6-packs.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't anything. The experiences that I had weren't amazing enough for me to want to keep trying their beer. So, and nothing really jumped out to me about them. So it's just not something I ever really cared to try much more of.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had for national news. Let me go ahead and switch over to some local news. Let me share
dun,
this
dun, dun. News at 9:30. Channel Beer Chaser.
Yeah. All right. So our good buddies Cigar City Brewing has kicked off 2018 with a brand new aesthetic. So basically, all their core line here has got a new coat of paint. They've also introduced a High-Lie 12-pack, launching in all markets in the immediate future. So they've been around since 2009. So just 10 years in, there's a nice close-up of what the labels actually look like. Mike, I know you're kind of a marketing guy. I know you're big into cans and labels and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on this new layout?
So I know everyone I talk to hate the new design. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're that bad.
Is it just the change? Is it something like you're just so used to seeing something and
yeah, it's
over it, you think?
The old Cigar City cans were very distinct and you can see them from a mile away. But the new cans aren't necessarily bad in terms of a design aspect. The only one I really don't like is a Florida Cracker. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see the state of Florida still remain on the new can. But in terms of a design, I mean, it's streamlined. It's cleaned up a little bit. It just lost its luster that everyone's still used to.
Yeah, so we have the logo as well as the can. So even the logo has changed a little bit. It's still similar. The cigar in the middle. It's just a little skinnier.
It's refinished. It's more detailed.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't hate them, but I don't think they're the best. But I think it's a slight improvement in terms of design.
What do you guys think?
I like it a little bit better. Especially, I think I like the High-Lie can better. That one always looked a little blurry to me. Like detail wise, maybe the lager can looked a little bit cooler beforehand. But I mean, again, like what they're going for is a big aesthetic thing, and you want to see all these brands on the shelf, and you want it to be. They want people to know it's the same brewery and the same consistency throughout. So I definitely get the reason for the change.
Yeah, they're definitely a little more unique now. I think some of those other ones were kind of. They were unique, but it was kind of difficult. It's kind of blurry, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you think? Makes you excited to buy some? Oh no, your mic's out.
Yeah,
I read the lips there. Damn it.
He said, "Damn it."
He's going to buy it right now. He's so excited.
Yeah. Give us a damn it. Thumbs up.
All right.
I need you to mime the rest of the show. Can you get a whiteboard?
Get away.
He is trapped. All right.
I mean, what do you think, Preston?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I'm indifferent. It doesn't blow me away, but at the same time, I'm not so into the art and the graphic part of it that to me it matters one way or another. I think. Will it stand out? I hear you, Brian.
Okay,
will it stand out? I don't know, but again, I don't hate it. It's not like a rebellion for me. Like, how dare you change what I know and love?
Yeah.
Indifference.
Can art's important. It's very important.
Yeah.
Or bottle art too. It's all very important.
I'm just not an art guy. My brain doesn't go art. I can play guitar. I'm a musician. Like my brain doesn't see art so well. It doesn't help that I'm partly colorblind, probably. So it doesn't help any.
All one shade. That's.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sweet. We're back.
So what do you think of the can art?
I think it's great. It is sharper. It's nicer. It is. It's definitely a good idea as far as, like everyone said already, the whole branding idea and being able to walk into the store and see you know instantly that these are all connected. It's the same brewery. So I think it's a nice change, and I'll always be drinking Cigar City no matter what they do with their can designs. Their beers are amazing to me.
Yeah, they don't put out many stinkers, and even if it's a style you don't like, it's like, damn, that's still a damn good beer. Speaking of beer, I've cracked open the second one. The other one I bought for today, Crooked Stave, Crooked Stave. Artisan Beer Project. This is Colorado Wild Sage. It is a Brett Saison. So not only is it a Saison, it's got Brett. Typically, I don't like that, but it's been a while, so I'm going to give it a shot. It is an ale brewed with white sage and lemongrass. Anybody else going to top off while we're here?
I only brought one beer. That's cool.
I'm gonna pour some more of this.
That lovely 7-layer stout, which you can pick up at Bowigens Brewery.
No, you can't. Catacombs are closed.
Catacombs closed, man. We can't pick that one up. Maybe.
But, that cricket was really good. I didn't know they were doing that one in Canton's now too, so that's interesting.
Wow. Is that fucking tart? But it's good. The lemongrass helps kind of give it a little bit more, I guess, acidity with that tartness. I don't know if I'm really picking up a lot of the white sage per se, but there is kind of a spiciness to it. And the beer is light, crisp, refreshing. This is not one I would probably order again. But I'm not going to drain pour it, and I would not rate it poorly. I would give this definitely a good 3.75 or a 4. This is pretty tasty beer. So I
quite blown away.
Quite enjoy it for what it is. What's that?
I'm so blown away you're drinking a Crooked Stave. So impressed. That's
the point of the show. You know, we'll try new things, get outside of our comfort zone, and have a little bit of fun. What's that?
I just drink too much. There's nothing really out of my comfort zone that I haven't had at some point.
All right, well,
I got a beer.
Yeah. I've got a second one that I'll just cracked open as well. I think we're going to talk about this brewery a little later, possibly. But Red Cypress Brewery, I just started trying some of their beers. This is their Mocha Death Roll. It's, I guess, supposed to be their Imperial Stout, Milk Stout. And haven't had this one yet. I had their regular.
What an animal. Doesn't even clean his glass out.
I know.
Savage.
I don't have a sink candies.
Damn.
Yes.
Bobby, how does that make you feel? He's drinking a Red Cypress.
I'm okay with it. I think I probably got some in the fridge.
They're a good beer. I think Bowigen and Red Cypress are definitely, number 1 and number 2. I'm not gonna say who's 1 or 2. It's like picking my favorite child. You shut your face. Shut your face, fanboy.
I remember that.
I've got to make it out to try some Bowigen beer sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hey, you're up in Gainesville. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. I mean, on that interstate.
We'll talk about that. Maybe I might be up that way pretty soon, so I might hit you up.
Cool.
Look at that, man. Making things happen. That's why I gotta love Bobby. All right. I'm going to move on to some other news. Yeah, Ryan wouldn't do that. Ryan wouldn't come up to Gainesville and bring Brian some beer. See? Maybe he would, though.
He would for me.
Oh, damn. All right. Present to everyone. We got this going now. All right. So news that just hit the wire today. A very strange bill is kind of going through Tallahassee here. And it's one that I had to read a couple times to really understand what is going on. But House Bill 961. And literally what this is it's a bill that would propose that breweries could hand out 10 cases per bar or restaurant of free glassware. So I'm assuming currently that is not available. You can't just go and give glassware out to these breweries with your logos and advertising on it. I think that it goes against some sort of regulation. So this House bill will look to change that. If I had to guess, it's probably an Anheuser-Busch kind of deal. Well, see, overwhelmingly opposed. So it's an interesting concept, right? So now you have these restaurants and bars that are going to have potentially Budweiser themed glasses or what have you, pouring a nice Bowigens beer into it. So I guess it's kind of that toting that real crazy line.
Honestly, I think there's a lot more than that that's already going on. It's technically, they're going to make it legal, but there's still stuff you see that go in. They buy a lot more than glassware to give out to bars to
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think
it won't change the game that much. I mean, as far as like there's different ways to do donations and give out swag, and I mean, I'm not saying we've ever gone to a bar and given out cases of glassware because we totally never did that, but
it's never happened.
I don't think it's gonna come off as a big a deal as it is, but like I said, you threw that up there, so I really haven't read through the entire bill. But there's legal or not, there's so much stuff that's pulled out there and glassware is the least of our worries.
Yeah, and I think to your point, that is part of the concern is that this is just another way for them to kind of nudge and favor and get things done or not done that normally wouldn't be able to do, because you have this kind of, hey, but we gave you all those glasses, or hey, can you do this for us now, or if you don't take these glasses, we're not going to give you X kind of thing. So and really the question too is, how are you going to police this? Like, is it a hotline, like call 1-800 to tell on glasses.com, whatever. Like, how are you going to police this and report it? And is there a bureau for this now? Like, are we employing people to do this work? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's why I was kind of surprised to see it, because I mean, it goes on. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot more that goes on, and I don't know who's looking at it right now.
Nobody's looking at it.
Mike's just taking.
Yeah, give me all the Bud Light stuff.
But I wanted to ask you, Mike. I know you used to work at World of Beer.
Yeah.
And how does that work with glassware? Is like, are pouring something into a Budweiser glass or a Green Flash glass, or beers that aren't actually that beer in that glass? Was there an etiquette, or is there any kind of rules or regulations where you're supposed to not advertise like that? Is it like an unwritten law or rule? Or
there was rules to where a Guinness beer goes in a Guinness glass, a Belgian beer goes in a specific Belgian glass, and yes, they're all labeled, but there is no loyalty to where I mean, Wob never had Bud Light at the time. It was like the Narragansett was like the closest thing to that. But we never had, it was just breweries would just give us glassware just as self-advertising, I guess. So there was no, other than Guinness goes in Guinness, Young's goes in Young's, Chocolate Stout goes in that, and then Belgians go in a Belgian glass or a Tulip. Other than that, it was a free-for-all. It was a way for the breweries to promote, too. You're drinking your Narragansett in a Bell's glass. Well, that's a promotion for Bell's, not necessarily the Narragansett that you're drinking. So I don't think it's a big deal. It's just a power move, I guess, just to let craft breweries know that AB still has the biggest D in the market. But it won't. I mean, you don't have to take the glasses if you don't want them. Also, glassware is super expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's weird. So it sounds like it already happens to a degree, and I don't know if now it's limiting it is the problem, or that's I guess again, it just kind of came up. I saw it like 5 o'clock. I said, this is something probably interesting to kind of talk about, and at least get the creative juices flowing, kind of thinking about it. And it was definitely strange to see the bill, a glassware bill, and then you think about it, it's like, wow, that could have some ramifications. And
there's a lot of donations that go on, both on the brewer side, the distributor side, and the retail side. So
everybody's getting some greasy palms.
Who doesn't like free stuff?
Right. Right. All right. Well, that's all the news I have. I want to move on to our topic of the day, which is Tampa Bay Beer Week. So here we are, March 15th. So Tampa Bay Beer Week was all of last week from Sunday to Sunday. So a lot of great events, a lot of great collaborations, a lot of great releases happened last week. But there's definitely some newsworthy stories that came out of that. So first off, to kick off Tampa Bay Beer Week. Well, first off, Mike and Bobby, is there an Orlando Beer Week yet, or is there any kind of citywide?
There is nothing like Tampa Bay Beer Week. It's not
yet.
Not yet. It's not organized enough, and it's just kind of sporadic. Everybody kind of does their own thing. So there is stuff. Like honestly, I think National Beer Week is bigger in Orlando than Orlando Beer Week, but nothing like Tampa Bay Beer Week yet.
Yeah.
Brian, what about the Gainesville area? Do you guys have any kind of like themed week, or?
We have the Hogtown Ale Festival that always goes on every year, and I've honestly never been because I always had to work Saturdays and always work the weekend. So by the time I got out, it was already over. So this will be my first year actually going to attend, and I think you submit beers to that as well, do you not?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. So Hogtown does do a homebrew competition during. I don't know if it's part of the festival or before the festival. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, I definitely submit to Hogtown every year, and I believe I medaled last year. I can't remember. I got so many now. I mean, I don't know. But so yeah, so Tampa Bay Beer Week was last week, and to kick off Tampa Bay Beer Week is the Best Florida Beer competition. So there's a pro version of that happens during Tampa Bay Beer Week. There's a homebrew competition that happens in October. I know last year, Bobby, I know you're a little busy this year. You guys didn't get a chance to submit anything. I know you had your 3-year anniversary coming up and a bunch of other events. You just didn't get a chance to kind of get some stuff. But I know last year you guys got a gold medal for your milk stout.
Yeah, we took a gold medal for our 7-layer milk stout. Unfortunately, nothing this year. We'll be back next year. So there's a fun time. But the event itself is awesome. If you've never been to it, it's just the festival they hold that Sunday is amazing.
Yeah, there's a Brewers Ball, which is basically all of the winning beers from Best Florida Beer are in one event, and I believe it's free pour. I don't think anybody's standing behind a tent and pouring for you.
Tapped, you just help yourself.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's limited. It's limited to the industry folk who brewed, and I believe 100 tickets are released to the public.
Yeah,
so it's very limited event.
Very select, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to get there this year. It's just a little expensive. I think tickets are like $75 a piece. Then I got to times that by 2, and then add an Uber in there and add food. So for me, it ends up being like a $200 beer event, which just $200 lying around just to go literally piss out. So as much as I would love to go, maybe I'll start saving up for next year.
Savage.
Putting some money in an envelope under my
Spicy.
pillow. It's real spicy. All right. So let me go over the results. So for the Best Florida Beer results, I'm going to highlight the main winning categories, and we got some friends of the show, people that have supported us, that have won some medals, and we got one notable at the end. So start off with the Best Brew Pub went to Big Blue Brewing out of Cape Coral, Florida. Has anybody ever heard of this or been to Big Blue Brewing in Cape Coral?
I have.
You have, huh?
Yes, I've been.
What do you think?
Recently. Good. It is very good. I was very impressed. They're food first, brewery second kind of deal, but the beers are very good. A little surprised they took the medal, but regardless, it's a cool place, good food, good staff, good environment.
Interesting. Best cider and mead went to Can't You Hear the Thunder by Garga Straight Meadery out of Tampa, Florida. That's no surprise. Those guys have been doing really big things in the mead circuit. I know there's the Reboog series, Goober backwards, real clever. Reboog, this Reboog, that. They do a lot of different, peanut butter, beer, meads, and stuff like that. So they've been doing really great things. I believe they won the best beer at 100 Poo Day last year, being a mead.
Yeah.
So.
How do you pronounce them?
How do you pronounce it?
Garagist.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
Well, that's it then.
Not even close. Best small brewery went to Arcane Ale Works, Largo, Florida. So I know that's somewhere I'd love to get out and film sometime. Just got to put that together. So maybe on your next trip, Mike.
Oh, dude,
they're known for they have excellent sour beers, and they do pretty much everything across the board. Pretty damn fantastic.
Yep.
I know they had a pretty big beer release this year for Tampa Bay Beer Week. Sold out within an hour, kind of thing. Really cool. The best beer in Florida. So the big winner of the event was The Lightest Thing You Got, which was a light cream ale by Big Blue Brewing. So they won, best brew pub as well as best beer in Florida. So did you have a chance to try that cream ale? I know you're a cream ale fan.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a big old slut for cream ale. No, I haven't. No, I haven't had that beer. No.
Mr. Chance. So I did a little bit of research on it, and interestingly enough, I could not find a Beer Advocate or a Rate Beer rating on it at all. So it doesn't exist on that site. And Untapped has it rated at 3.3. So again, ratings are what they are. It's not the be all end all. Obviously in a blind taste test with subjectivity aside and just tasting the beer for what it is. And this isn't even winning a style. This is winning the best beer across the board against stouts, against IPAs, against everything. A light cream ale won the entire event.
Abe has some stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Beer is so subjective.
Yes.
Congratulations.
It could be an
Well deserved.
All right, so those are the big awards there. But definitely want to run down some of the other ones. I don't want to go through the entire list. We'll be here for 2 hours. So some of our friends from the show, Crooked Thumb, took home silver for Harbor Lager. That's an American style lager. Love those guys down there, always doing great stuff. Mad Beach Brewing took a silver for their sour green apple cider and a bronze for their amber ale. We had Cigar City, Cigar City Brewing taking home a gold for Guayabara, American Pale Ale, gold for Marshall Zukov, the sweet strong stout, and silver for their Guava Grove mixed culture sour ale. Hourglass Brewery, gold in the Saison de la Sabria, Saison, gold with La Fille Draghi, an experimental beer. Rat Brewing taking home a bronze for that smoked porter. And one notable mention is these guys have not been on the show, and they don't necessarily support us, but I know, Mike, you're a big fan of theirs, and I've been there. They make great beer. Red Cypress took home 4 medals, 2 bronze, 1 silver, and 1 gold. So, I mean, definitely a good little swath of medals there.
Yeah, they won a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad Hourglass took some medals. I'm glad Red Cypress took some medals. It's good for the Orlando beer scene that, we've mentioned earlier. That's definitely on the climb. So hopefully next year it'll be a lot more Orlando awards. I'm looking forward to Bowigens winning some stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully other breweries in Orlando as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, especially congrats to Red Cypress and Hourglass. So we like to see as much Central Florida up there down there as we can.
Yep.
There's some good beer around here, so that's what we're trying to put out for sure.
Yep.
Definitely. So another good positive from the event, all the news story on it, but from everything I've read, the 100 Proof Day went off without a hitch. They moved the venue this year to the Raymond James Stadium parking lot, so a lot more room. I believe they even sold more tickets this time around, so more people were able to get in. I think tickets were available all the way up to like the week before. So in years before, you had the mad rush to get to the online site that was crashing. You couldn't get your ticket. So it seems like they've remedied that. It seems like the venue has grown, and I've heard positivity all around. I don't know if you guys have heard or read anything differently than that.
I always laugh my ass off seeing all the videos of people running towards
the running of the neckbeards.
Isn't that there's some crazy stuff? That's crazy.
There was a video, the running of the neckbeards, where they, once they open up the doors,
yeah, dude.
people trying to get to the Three Sons and stuff like that. It is funny, man. I only went 1 year. I went, last year, and I think that's to me is like an every 5 or 6 year thing. It was definitely a treat. I'm still sitting on bottles that I have from last year. I wasn't gonna wait in line more than like 10 minutes. There was so much beer there. It was like ridiculous to me that you're gonna stand in line for a 2-ounce pour for an hour when the festival's 4 hours long.
Oh,
I didn't get it.
That's when you're getting older. When you're like, I'm not gonna wait more than 10 minutes for a 2-ounce pour.
The sign of maturity.
Yeah.
I'm growing up.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to the news site here, share to everybody. So, not all good news, unfortunately. So, Cycle, who's known for their weekday releases, every year Tampa Bay Beer Week puts out a week theme of beers, a Sunday version, a Monday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sunday went off without a hitch, but unfortunately Monday was recalled due to infection concerns. So people in line were trying the beer and started realizing there were some off flavors. And more people were coming in confirming that there was something going on there. They haven't really come out and said straight up that this was an infection, but obviously they were taking refunds on the beers. Even if you wanted to take the Sunday back, no questions asked. If you had any lack of confidence in the brand, now all of a sudden, they were willing to take the beers back. But pretty big blow to those guys. They basically canceled the rest of the week. They really weren't sure if their whole barrel program was kind of bad, or was it just the bottling equipment. So they basically pulled everything out and canceled the whole week of beer releases. So that's a pretty big blow. I imagine, financially, as well as just that time and effort and the energy. I wanted to ask you, Bobby. Again, being a brewer, and I don't know if you've done much barrel aging in your brew house.
We've started to. I mean, we still always boast that we're the smallest barrel production facility in the country. We're all with one. This past few months, we've had at least 7 barrels in there, so we're growing. For us exponentially. But
self dig.
700%.
It is it's definitely a big challenge. I know it's a big blow for those guys. it looks like that it was just isolated to that Monday batch. So it's good news. They plan on releasing the remainder days. I think sometime coming up. So at least that's good that it wasn't the whole thing, because that's it's a tricky situation there.
Yeah. So what are the complications when you're going into a barrel like that? Because obviously you're getting these from a source that you know where it's coming from, but you really don't know what's been in there. You don't know the care of it. Like, do you guys treat the barrels at all? Or are you guys taking the risk of just putting beer right into it as is?
It depends. Like, if you can get the barrel right away and you know exactly where it's coming from, and it comes in, you can fill it that day, and it's fresh, then it's awesome. But a lot of times, especially the smaller you are, that doesn't really line up if you can't afford to get a truckload of barrels coming in straight from the distillery. So we've had stuff that came in, some barrels that we've had to treat before, put some holding solutions in, and even then popped them open and I wasn't comfortable with it. There was a time last year around November when we were having the twins, I actually ordered twice as many barrels as I needed. It was kind of in a haze, and so we had them come in. I didn't have beer to go in them, so I tried to do like a holding solution in those. When it came time to fill them up, I wasn't comfortable with it, so we lost out on a lot of barrels that way. But it's it's for the best. At least we didn't waste beer going in it and have to put out something that wasn't right, or at least dump it.
You're not going to put out that unintentional sour.
No, not at all.
Sour IPA.
If there were any breweries out there who are looking to start a barrel program and kind of what you've learned, from your experience, I know it's not vast. Again, you're claiming to have the smallest barrel program in the United States, but if there's any advice you could give to anybody out there, like what would you give to somebody who's looking to do barrels or want to work with them?
The biggest thing is planning, and you got to plan ahead and be ready. So when you contract the barrels, you line everything up, and you need to have that beer brewed. So the quickest you can fill it, make sure once it gets to your facility, you're ready for it, be able to fill that barrel. And then it's just the same thing with the rest of the brewing process. You got to pay attention. You got to be diligent. There's a lot of extra steps. There's a lot more transferring of the beer. Every time you move the beer, there's a chance for contamination or some kind of infection issues. So you have to be just on your game multiple times throughout that process.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Hopefully we'll save some people some trouble out there looking to experiment in the barrels.
Who's gonna make the joke though?
Go ahead, go for it.
That those beers had a case of the Mondays.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I don't think it's the first one. I think I saw that online too.
Don't quit your day job.
I'm trying to.
All right. We also had some other bad news. Angry Chair, who is known for their ridiculously out of control lines, and maybe not out of control as far as like people, but just the length of lines for their small little location, severely upset some neighbors with their beer release. So on Thursday they released the German chocolate cupcake barrel aged stout for $35. They had about 1,000 people show up. I think they had 8,000 bottles. And again, if anybody's been out to Angry Chair in Tampa knows, it's a very small location with even like more limited parking. I think they've got like 4 spots on location. So much to the point where they even mention, don't park on Fern. It's a big hashtag of theirs. They make shirts that say it. So obviously they know there's parking issues. So 1,000 people showed up. Again, it was Tampa Bay Beer Week. They had a lot of out-of-state people. Angry Chair is getting a lot of buzz. So a lot of people showed up. They were supposed to have a 10 or 11 o'clock release. They ended up at 7:30 saying, we need to get you out of here. We need everybody to get the F out of here. So they started the release early, got everybody through. A lot of angry neighbors. It begs to differ. Or the question I have, after reading this story, both for Mike and Bobby, in putting on beer events, they're getting a lot of flack because people are saying, hey, you got what you asked for, kind of thing, right? You got your crowds. And this was not unique to Tampa Bay Beer Week, and I want to stress that. I think people are overlooking that in this article, that every one of their beer releases now, it might not be 1,000 people, they've got people lining up. It might not be lining up at 11 the night before or 7 the night before, like in this case, but they always have people lining up through that neighborhood trying to get beer. Every single beer release they have. And the beer's great. Probably warrants that line, but to kind of blow it off as like, well, this isn't what we wanted, this is what we asked for, we didn't ask you to come out early, I call a little bit of hogwash on that. And I know both you guys have put on beer events. Mike, you did the Homebrew Fest when you're at World of Beer with Jeff, and Bobby, yep. I know you've done a couple annual events and some bottle releases. So if we could, let's talk through that process and like what advice you guys can give to those who are looking to put on events. Because Bobby, I don't know if I've ever heard any complaints about your events, you don't have angry neighbors and.
Well, we're luckily we're in a spot we can hold a lot of people if we block off certain areas of our parking lot and the plaza we're in. But the biggest thing is just planning ahead, and something we try to do is, all right, worst case scenario. All right, for them, like 1,000 people show up. Best case scenario, kind of, is let's plan for that. What are we going to do if this happens? There's a line forms where we're going to go and we facilitate this. So, I'm not for sure what their other bottle releases, like what it's been. I know probably hasn't been obviously as crazy as this one got, but sometimes you gotta realize, like, all right, if this is gonna happen, what are we gonna do? Some kind of backup plan, not, oh shit, we're just gonna roll with it and piss off the neighbors and pay homeless people to stand in line. And
that is a part I failed to mention too. That was, I don't know how true that was, but there were some Facebook or Craigslist postings of people offering to pay or be paid to stand in line. There's rumors that they're paying homeless people to stand in line to wait for beer.
Real. Oh, it's a real thing. 100%.
But, at the same time too, it's they're that's what they're trying to do. They want to sell their beer, and good for them. If people want to stand in line the night before, that's awesome. But I think they came out and said that maybe they're going to try to move the releases to a different location from now on, kind of like Cycle started to do what Cigar City started doing with Hunapoo, just to facilitate it and make it grow and do it better each year.
Yeah. Awesome. Mike, from your event, what kind of advice do you give to those out there who might be listening, who are looking to start an event or going to run an event? Like, what could you tell them?
Your most important thing with the event is space, right? So if you're going to have an event at the brewery, you have to make sure that you have enough space for it. And this situation is very multi-dimensional, to where the neighbors have always had a problem, with the Angry Chair crowd. Angry Chair has to know. It's the neighbors and like the secondary market, and what that is evolving into is paying homeless people to stand in line, reselling bottles for 8 times the cost of what you paid for them, and that's a big portion of Angry Chair's problem is the secondary market, and from a business standpoint, they have to know that. So the fact that it's taken them this long to kind of acknowledge it, to where it's become a big problem, is surprising to me, but. For an event, it's all about space. You have to judge how many people are going to be there and stick to your times. So if your event is from 2 to 6 and the line starts at 12, you have to stick to that. Anyone that comes up before noon or that line time has to be, you have to leave. You can't be here, because it's just keeps things organized, keeps the neighbors happy, and keeps everything flowing smoothly. But it's really space, and they don't have a lot of parking, and they're in a tight Seminole Heights community. I think moving forward, they're gonna have to have it somewhere else. But it's a shame for everybody. It's a shame that Angry Chair got the bad flack. It's a shame I feel bad for the neighbors, because they didn't ask for this brewery to move in there, and it's a shame that the secondary market has become such a monster, in my opinion. But it's all about space. You have to know your crowd. You really have to know your crowd.
Yeah, as much as I love their beers, I've had it. I've stopped into the location a couple of times, and I've had somebody bring me a crowler, some really great stuff. I avoid that. I run a show called the Beer Chasers. I'm all about chasing beer, and I don't mind standing in lines. It's when you've got to show up at midnight, 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and be waiting in line 9, 10, 11 hours for beer. It's just not worth it to me. I'm definitely not going to pay the secondary market price. So I've always avoided those events, because I'm getting to be that old cranky man where if I can't find parking and I'm here, I've got my money, and I can't get something, it just aggravates me. And that's the opposite of what beer should be. It shouldn't be aggravating. It should be celebratory and enjoyable. And that to me isn't the theme of it, And I get turned off by that. So I don't even go. I don't even try the Angry Chair ones as much as I want to. But again, it's not worth my time and hassle and energy to go sit in a line like that for that long for a beer. It's just not worth it.
I mean, if they're making 8,000 bottles or 5,000 bottles, you have to assume if it's 2 per person, that 2,500 people are going to be in and out of this place in the very beginning of the day. Like, how can you not know that or plan accordingly? You know what I'm saying? So if you're doing a 2 per person and every event that you throw, you sell out in an hour, maybe you should move it beforehand, especially during Tampa Bay week.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents.
I feel like that's kind of the problem too when you have these giant events and you know that the demand is so high that you're going to have this outrageous turnout. you know, obviously having the right venue is the right, you know, obviously the first thing you need to do, and having the amount of beer to give out is to appease the entire crowd is the goal. But I mean, when you create these limited batches and you're having people line up in line to get it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to create a second market by not having enough to appease the demand that's out there. If they're, you know you're going to put out a new beer and everybody's going to want to get their hands on it, then if you're producing only a small batch amount and only allowing so many people to get it, you're going to have this absolutely ridiculous turnout with people that are buying it to sell it, you know, in a secondhand market, and it's never going to stop unless you have enough to meet the demand that's out there for the customers that want to get their hands on that bottle. The only way, to me, in my opinion, to cut out all of those mules sitting in line waiting to buy that beer to resell it is by having enough for everyone to be able to buy what they're going to get and having enough space to satisfy that demand. But I don't know.
And sometimes too is, you know, that's not always possible in that case. Like if they're doing a small batch because they're brewing maybe as much of it as they can in that, you know, on that system. So it's you know, it's hard on both ends. Like, you know, if they don't want to support the secondary market to, you know, to do that, but at the same time, like if they know they're going to brew this beer and sell out immediately, like, well, obviously they're going to, otherwise that'd be a bad business decision as well.
Right.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah, and the secondary market, there was a guy who posted he's selling 5 Angry Chair Bombers. I think 4 of them were from the Tampa Bay Beer Week or what. I forgot the specifics, but each bomber ranges from $20 to $50. He's selling them for the 5 bombers $900.
God.
And there is another person selling 6 bombers for $1,300. That's Angry Chair Bombers on the secondary market. How can you not know that exists?
Yeah,
you have to know.
The only thing about that, or one of the things that bothers me about that is there's people that do that and they're standing in line. You start to see ratings for beers. Not saying that these beers aren't great. Like I didn't have this particular one. I guarantee it was worth everything they sold it for. But on the secondary market, there's people standing in lines, rating this beer, talking it up, advertising it through these beer trade groups throughout the country before the beer is even there. By the time they get it, it has such high ratings that then they can sell it for $900, $1,300.
And people buy it. That's what blows my mind.
That's crazy.
As long as people are going to buy it, it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
So,
and there's no way for breweries to control that. There's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if it's to move to a ticket system of some sort to prevent the lining up or whatever, or like moving off location. But I think they've heard the message now loud and clear. There's no excuse now that they don't know that this is a problem. I mean, the paper's writing about it. You know, that it's well enough now. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how they handle the next one, and maybe I'll make it out finally. You know, it's just I'm not doing it. Ain't got the time. Ain't got the patience. Ain't happening.
And at the end of the day, for them, like good for them for at least on that aspect of brewing a good beer that people want that bad. They're going to line up the night.
Oh yeah.
So I don't blame them on that aspect. Maybe a little bit more planning beforehand, but
yeah, all about planning and space, really.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your feedback, gentlemen. I'll move on to one last piece before we wrap this thing up. So typically I like to show off a new homebrew gadget of sorts every time we do one of these shows. And recently I came across a product called the Labelnator. So being a home brewer, obviously you like to bottle your beers if you're not kegging yet. So the right thing to do is to take the labels off. I think legally you have to. You can't be serving, you know, a product in a bottle that's not actually that product. So you know we usually scrape the labels because let's face it, a lot of the cost of the beer or is the packaging. You know, to bottle it. You know, the bottles are expensive. You know, it's $15-$16 for a case, and it takes 2 cases, so $30 to bottle a batch of beer. And obviously, you're going to give it to your friends. You're going to share. So, you know, it's a big cost. So to be able to get the labels off easily, I found this product. Said, hey, let's check this thing out. So this is Labelnator here. As you see, it's pretty simple. It's a big razor blade and a shaped little thing here that allows you to scrape it off. Makes scraping those stubborn labels safer, quicker, and easier. Works with all curved bottles, so they say. I will stop sharing here.
So they say.
So they say.
Curved bottles,
here's a
not
little
square
here.
ones.
As you can see,
you got it.
as advertised. My review on it is to be short and simple. It's a piece of shit. Don't buy it. No, it's really terrible. The size of this thing doesn't fit small bottles like well at all, and it barely fits bombers. And I soak the bottles first, as they recommend the instructions. I actually soak it in OxyClean, which is the typical method you would do normally if you're just going to try to peel it off.
That's what I do. Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 different types of bottles out there, and glues. Like you start learning which ones work well. Which ones you can just peel right off, and which ones like I'm just tossing it. It's not worth my effort. This one only really worked with one type I found, and it was a type that pretty much just comes off easily anyways. When you would scrape down the bottle, I mean, really, you're just getting like this little piece of it. So it was coming off in strips. It wasn't really taking it off in like one fell swoop across this entire thing like I was hoping. So it basically worked on the bottles that just would peel off anyways. It wasn't really getting the residue off. It wasn't helpful at all. So save your $11. Don't buy the Labelnator, or buy it. I don't care, but take it from me. It wasn't worth the money. Definitely a stinker. I was going to do a review on it, but you know what? It's not even worth it. Like I shouldn't even be talking about it. I shouldn't be talking about it now. But there it is, Labelnator.
Buy some OxyClean.
What was that?
Buy some OxyClean, invest it back, and peel it off.
Yeah, and I was hoping it was going to help me with some of the ones that are like more plasticky, like your Cigar Cities and your Funky Buddhas are like, they don't just peel right off. They're not paper. That's like a plastic adhesive. The glue is nice. Like you really have to work at some of those. So I was hoping it'd be the stubborn ones I wouldn't have to fight with so much, but nope. I've tried. I tried soaking them. Tried it this angle, that angle. Just not worth it. All right, gentlemen, we've come to that part of the show.
Duly noted. We will not buy that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Don't buy that piece of shit. Gentlemen, it's come to that part of the show. Final thoughts on to wrap it up. We'll start with Brian. Brian, what do you got going on here in the future? What do you want to plug?
Honestly, not a whole lot right now. With the way YouTube's going anyway, and so many channels are being deleted every day and constantly for stupid things. Who knows? One of my hot sauce or pepper eating videos will probably get my channel removed anyway at some time in the near future with the crazy new rules and flaggers that they have working at YouTube. So really, I mean, definitely go and if you're not subscribed, check it out, because I am going to still try to put out videos as long as they will let me. Though I haven't had the motivation to do it lately, I do plan to try to get back into putting out some more regular content here soon. I still have the beer putt that was sent out to me from Bomb Tech Golf, where it's a putting green, and it's a drinking game about trying to sink your balls in the putting holes before your opponent does.
Buddy.
So that one's gonna be a lot of fun. But otherwise, not much, man. Just check me out on YouTube and my Facebook page, and that's about it.
When are we going to see you back down in the Madeira, Pinellas County area so we can get together?
I'm going to come down. My parents have sold their cottage down there now, which sucks because Mad Beach Brewing was just starting to really form when they were living there, and now they've moved away, and I can't go down there to stay with them and try their beers. So I'll have to try to plan a trip here in the near future, just to come down and see you guys and have some beers. And I'd love to travel and see some of the breweries with you, especially you, Preston, to have some good beers with you, because it's long overdue.
Yeah, man, I got a room with a blow-up mattress with your name on it.
I'm there.
All right, Mike, what's going on with you and At the Bar podcast? What's coming up in the future? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, Jeff wanted me to ask Bobby to quit pussyfooting around and get Heffin' Awesome on draft. You're fucking killing him.
It is. Well, actually, yeah, it's on draft right now.
Oh, shit. Gotta go.
Heffin' Awesome and Jelly as well.
Ooh. Okay. I gotta text him. At the Bar podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, my luck will be gone. At the Bar podcast, we've been doing we went down to South Florida the other week, actually a month ago. So we did a Barrel of Monks brewery spotlight and then a Accomplice brewery and cidery spotlight. Both of those episodes are out now on the website at thebarpodcast.com. Awesome episodes. Barrel of Monks, love the episode, and Jeff and I so much that March 31st, they invited us to their 3rd year anniversary, to where we will be doing a Facebook live stream from the brewery and the event and talking to all the owners and British Zach and stuff like that. So that will be an absolute shit show.
You're doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. God help us all.
Shit. Here we go. Hold on to your butts.
You guys get to hear Jeff drunk live, and I can't censor him. But other than that, man, just the podcast is growing still. It's a steady climb. I have more on my plate than I know what to do with, which is a good sign. I am not complaining. I definitely we got an event coming up that I can't talk about fully. It's in planning. I want to talk to a couple more breweries to see if we can throw it at Ellipsis because they have the brew space for it. But you guys will be the first to hear.
By the way, who is Ellipsis? What is Ellipsis? What is this you speak of? Since our audience has not heard about this since you last been on the show.
Yes. So Ellipsis is Orlando's newest brewery, right across the street from the airport. They specialize in New England IPAs and everything else. So it's a 3,000 square foot tap room, a 7,200 square foot facility total. So they are right out off of Cimarron, right by MCO, which is Orlando International Airport. And Bobby has a seat waiting for him at the bar. So yeah, swing on by Ellipsis Friday nights and anytime Saturday. You'll be bound to see me at some point of those 2 days.
All right, Bobby, let's go with you and Bowigens. What can we look forward to in the future?
I got a couple things to announce that we got coming up. One is the Central Florida Top Brewers competition we're putting on again. That's going to be May 19th. We have over 30 of the local Orlando or Central Florida craft breweries that are going to be competing. It's a Top Chef style competition. Everybody comes. We have a draw.
Oh yeah.
Everybody draws 1 grain, 1 hop, and then 2 specialty ingredients. And they have to make a beer with it. So it's kind of to showcase the talents and creativity of all the local breweries and what we have to offer here. It could be anywhere from some breweries. Last year, I got I think vanilla coffee beans and biscuit malt, or some got beets and mustard seed. What do you got and what can you do with it? So that's a really awesome festival. It's very unique, especially this area, and it really showcases what the local breweries can do. So that again is on May 19th.
So I know real quick, the laws have been kind of coming down on home brewers being at festivals and doing events like this. Is this going to be open up to home brewers? Just straight commercial?
No, we have one. The local homebrew club is going to be there. A couple of the breweries in planning that aren't quite open yet are going to be there as well. They're just kind of together in a separate row, but
yeah,
it's not really cracking down on it yet. I mean, I
think it's the pay thing, right? If you're paying to get into an event, they have to be outside of the pay zone. They can be in your wet zone, but they have to be outside of where people pay to get in. So this is a free event for people to come out to, or?
No, so it's a ticketed event. We're still working on the logistics on where we're going to put the couple breweries that aren't quite open yet. We got the licensing for that, but it's possible those will be in a separate area. Be free to come up and try and everything.
To find Central Florida, though, would that include Tarpon Springs?
It won't this year. So the festival is pretty much going to be Volusia, Seminole, Orange County. There's a couple of guys out on the coast towards Melbourne that they're going to be coming out. There's some good breweries out there as well. So it's a loosely defined term because we like to have as many brews as we can just to come out and party.
That's
what
a no.
What if I still have an Orange County library card?
Come on out, man. We can.
Is Brian Quinn hosting that event, Bobby?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
What's that?
I was just checking.
So on top of that, only the things we got going on is we're kind of expanding our distribution. So
excellent.
In April will be available in Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Tallahassee.
Hey!
Doing some traveling next month, and I'll be in all those areas. I'll definitely be at Hogtown, and we'll be pouring some up there.
Oh, nice.
I'll be there.
Are you guys hiring a rep?
What's that?
You gonna be hiring a rep?
Maybe. If you want to work for beer, I can.
Yeah. How about beer and student loans?
I got plenty of those too.
Damn it.
I'm about to try to make my way up to Hogtown this year. Maybe see Brian, see Bobby up there. Maybe I'll pick up Mike on the way, and we'll make a day of it.
That's cool.
I have a friend that owns a bar here in Gainesville, so I could get something on tap.
I need a place to sleep.
Easily.
I'll be hanging out all weekends, pouring beer, hanging out, drinking. Be a good time.
Awesome. Anything else for Bowigens? Anything? Any new crazy beers coming out? Anything experimental?
All the time. We got new stuff coming out, probably 4 or 5 beers each month. We're working on our next batch. We're about to do a bottle release of our Imperial Strawberry Stout Cake.
Mhm.
We haven't announced anything yet. I haven't even told anybody yet, so you guys are the first to know.
Hey, there you go.
So that one's probably going to be mid to late April. We haven't set the date yet for the release on that, but we got that coming up.
Awesome. You guys have been pretty big on the Randall nights. You guys like a dedicated Randall night you guys are doing. You guys are doing trivia and stuff up there now. And
yeah, every night we got something going on. Tuesday is trivia. Wednesdays we do Randall. Last night the girls finally talked me into doing bacon and through our Imperial Breakfast Stout.
How'd it turn out?
It actually worked. I was hesitant, but it just made sense. It was maple syrup, bacon, coffee. It worked.
Awesome. Where can people find? Where's Bowigens at? I know it's in Castleberry 436.
Oh yeah. So Tap Room in Castleberry 436 and Redbug. We're in a lot of specialty craft beer bars. It rotates through, so a lot of your World of Beers you'll see us pop through. And whatever your local specialty craft beer bar is, you can request it. We'll be between Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando area, and then coming next month, Gainesville, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. Just keep an eye out for us.
Nice. You're hitting distro here in Tampa?
Yep. We got some good spots down there too.
I'll have to make sure my Lukens connections get the hook up and hit the distro and make sure they get some in for me.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, man. For myself, as I'm chilling back now, we're wrapping up. Yeah. Myself, just working, brewing my ass off. It's the homebrew season here for the festivals and the competitions. So I've been brewing every other week, doing two brews a day, every brew day. Just trying a bunch of new stuff. Going to be resubmitting some of the winners, trying to get some more medals and trying some new stuff. Just recently did a blonde ale, an American brown ale. I've done a pale ale. Plan on doing a saison next week, as well as getting my Doppelbock underway. So just really, really diversifying. I'm looking to get some more medals into some new categories I've never medaled in, and just continue to learn and get better at the craft. Beer Chasers is slow. Admittedly, it's harder to get to the episodes just between work and family life and coming home and doing bottling and cleaning bottles and getting treatments and stuff ready and yeast starters and just everything that comes with brewing. It's pretty much consumed all my free time, so it's harder to get to the episodes, but still trying to keep my cadence of every 2 or 3 weeks giving you some sort of content, whether it's a broadcast like this or whether it's a quick little mini-sode or it's a full-blown episode. So try my best to get some stuff out and keep the content relevant. I will be planning here in the near future another Jackbox with Beer Chasers and Friends. So hopefully we can get Brian involved. We'll get Mike and Jeff from At the Bar Podcast involved. Bobby, you're always welcome to come on out. We'll anybody who wants to come join us. I think this next time around, at Mike's request, we're going to do a Sunday night. So hopefully we can get him and Hefe involved. So look forward to that here in the next couple weeks. I'll set something up. Other than that, just keeping on and doing what we do. All right, gentlemen.
Hey,
there he is again.
say hi.
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 They all said hi.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
Mm,
Okay. Say bye.
Bye.
Internet famous. All right, gentlemen. Final thoughts. Brian, let's go with you. What do you want to say to the Beer Chaser audience?
Thank you so much for watching. This is always a fun time for me. I enjoy when we do these podcasts. I may not be the most knowledgeable, and I may not be in, brewing and the other aspect, but I like kind of just coming in with the average Joe perspective and learning more as I chat with these guys, with all of you on a regular basis. So this is always a great experience, and I always look forward to the next time we can all get together and talk like this.
Yeah, man, anytime. We'll keep them going about quarterly. I think quarterly is a good cadence for this format for us, at least.
Yep.
Bobby, final thoughts. What you got for us?
Well, I mean, pretty much. I look forward to catching up with you guys and getting to hang out sometime. Hopefully soon we can all meet up and share some beer together. Other than that, just thanks for having me back. Guys, keep making beer, keep drinking good beer, and cheers.
Awesome. Mike.
Yeah. Final thoughts. It's always a pleasure. I don't see Bobby too often. I don't see Brian hardly at all, other than on the screen here. But it's always a pleasure talking to you guys and talking beer. And you guys are all super cool. And this is always super fun for me. And yeah, I definitely like Bobby's idea of getting together and crushing some Mick Ultras and some Bud Lights.
Bros. All right, for me, same thing. Just appreciate you guys helping out and joining. Appreciate you guys at home watching. Without you to kind of listen to us ramble is really, we could do this, but it's not as fun. So it's good to have an audience and have people appreciate what we do. So always appreciate that. So like, comment, subscribe. Check out At the Bar podcast. Check out Bowigens. Check out the Burnt Brian Show. Obviously, I'm hoping you already know about the Beer Chasers. You're watching this. If not, come check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, whatever way you got to. Just come check us out. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, share, retweet, all that fun stuff. But then we're gonna wrap it up. I am Preston. That is Mike.
Yep.
That is Bobby. That is Brian. This was the Beer Chasers podcast number 5. We're gonna wrap it up. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Peace.